The air hung thick and heavy, pregnant with the ghosts of forgotten conflicts. A chill, deeper than the subterranean dampness, seeped into the bones of investigator Mallory, clinging to her like a shroud. The wartime bunker, a concrete scar upon the earth, stood before her, an invitation to a darkness she wasn't sure she wanted to accept. It had been decades since the last echoes of war had faded, yet the structure remained, a silent sentinel, guarding secrets best left undisturbed. The case was cold, frustratingly so. A series of bizarre occurrences plagued the small town nestled in the shadow of the bunker. Clocks stopping precisely at the same moment. A collective hallucination reported by multiple unrelated individuals, and an unsettling feeling of being watched. The only tangible link, the discovery of a weathered porcelain doll found near the entrance of the bunker, its painted eyes staring blankly ahead, a silent harbinger of something sinister. It was an anomaly, a relic of childhood innocence amidst a landscape of wartime brutality. Mallory felt the weight of its gaze even now as she stepped into the maw of the bunker. Act 1. Introduction Setup. The steel door groaned in protest as she pushed it open, the sound echoing through the cavernous space, a metallic lament for the souls trapped within. Dust motes danced in the beam of her flashlight, illuminating the decaying remnants of a bygone era. Rusted cots, corroded medical instruments, and faded maps clinging precariously to the damp walls. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay, a tangible reminder of the passage of time and the secrets it had buried. Her partner, Detective Reynolds, a seasoned veteran with a cynical edge honed by years on the force, followed close behind. "Charming," he muttered, his voice barely audible above the dripping water. "Reminds me of my ex-wife's basement." He held a hand up to block the falling moisture, a constant reminder of the bunker's slow decay. Mallory ignored his attempt at levity, her gaze fixed on the far end of the corridor. A feeling of unease, a primal instinct warning her of impending danger, settled in her stomach. The doll. It had to be connected. She could feel it, a cold whisper against her skin. She pulled a pair of gloves from her pocket, snapping them on. The investigation was about to begin. She moved forward, deeper into the oppressive dark. Act 2. Investigation Escalation. They moved slowly, methodically, each footstep echoing in the oppressive silence. The bunker was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, each one a testament to the paranoia and desperation of a world at war. Mallory ran a gloved hand along the cold concrete walls, searching for any clue, any anomaly that might shed light on the mystery. Reynolds documented their progress, snapping photographs and taking notes, his cynicism a shield against the unsettling atmosphere. In a small, seemingly insignificant storage room, they found their first real clue. A series of symbols crudely scratched into the wall, seemingly nonsensical at first glance. But Mallory recognized them. Alchemical symbols, archaic and esoteric, used to represent elements and processes long forgotten. What were they doing here, in a military bunker? "Looks like our friends weren't just fighting the Nazis," Reynolds said, his voice laced with skepticism. "Maybe they were brewing up something a little stronger." He shone his flashlight on a rusted metal cabinet. Mallory ignored his sarcasm, her mind racing. The symbols, they resonated with something deep within her, a half-remembered dream, a forgotten knowledge. She pulled out her phone, snapping a picture of the symbols. She'd run them by an expert, see if they could decipher their meaning. As they delved deeper into the bunker, the occurrences became more pronounced. The temperature dropped dramatically, even colder than before. Shadows flickered in the periphery, playing tricks on their eyes. And then the clocks started. First one, then another, all stopping simultaneously. The hands frozen at 3:17 a.m., the same time reported by the townspeople. A collective gasp escaped Mallory's lips. This was no coincidence. Reynolds swore under his breath, his cynicism momentarily forgotten. What in God's name is going on here? He checked his own watch, then pulled out his cell phone, hoping for a signal. Nothing. The bunker seemed to be actively suppressing all forms of communication. They were trapped, not just physically, but technologically. Suddenly, a high-pitched giggle echoed through the corridor, a child's laughter, chillingly out of place in this tomb-like setting. Mallory froze, her hand instinctively reaching for her sidearm. Reynolds swung his flashlight around, illuminating the darkness. Nothing. Only the cold, damp walls and the lingering scent of decay. "Did you hear that?" Mallory whispered, her voice barely audible. Reynolds nodded, his face pale. "Yeah, let's get out of here." He swallowed hard. "This place is giving me the creeps." But it was too late. As they turned to leave, the porcelain doll appeared before them, seemingly out of thin air, its painted eyes glowing with an eerie light. Act 3, Revelation Climax. The doll floated in the air, suspended by an unseen force. The giggling intensified, morphing into a cacophony of childlike voices, whispering unintelligible words. The alchemical symbols on the wall began to glow, pulsating with an unearthly light. Mallory felt a wave of nausea wash over her, her head swimming. The bunker seemed to be alive, its secrets stirring from their long slumber. She realized then that the bunker hadn't simply been a wartime shelter. It had been a laboratory, a place where forbidden experiments had been conducted, where the boundaries between science and the occult had been blurred. The porcelain doll was the key, a vessel imbued with the energy of the experiments, a conduit to something dark and powerful. The clock stopping, the collective hallucinations, these were all manifestations of its power, ripples in the fabric of reality. Reynolds fired his weapon, the bullets ripping through the doll, shattering its porcelain body. But it was no use. The fragments simply reassembled themselves, the doll reforming, its eyes now burning with an infernal fire. The voices grew louder, more insistent, swirling around them like a vortex. Mallory felt a presence enter her mind, a cold, malevolent entity seeking to take control. She fought back, desperately clinging to her sanity, her will. She remembered the town's lore, an old tale about a group of scientists practicing rituals in the bunker. She focused her thoughts, concentrating on the symbols, trying to decipher their meaning. Suddenly, it came to her, a counter-ritual, a way to banish the entity, to sever its connection to the doll and the bunker. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble, but it was their only hope. Mallory started reciting the counter-ritual, her voice trembling at first, but growing stronger with each word. The alchemical symbols on the wall flickered, then dimmed, their unearthly glow fading. The porcelain doll shrieked, its burning eyes dimming. Act 4, Aftermath Reflection. The voices faded, the temperature returned to normal, and the porcelain doll crashed to the ground, lifeless and broken. Silence descended upon the bunker, broken only by their ragged breaths. They stumbled out of the bunker, blinking in the harsh sunlight, feeling as though they had emerged from a nightmare. The air tasted cleaner, the sky seemed brighter, the town below looked deceptively normal. They knew better. The bunker remained, a silent testament to the darkness that lurked beneath the surface, a reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed. Mallory picked up a shard of the broken doll, its painted eye staring up at her, a silent plea for remembrance. The events were over, for now, but the evil was contained. This was no unsolvable puzzle, but a warning that humanity should never repeat their dark past. She tucked the shard into her pocket, feeling its cold weight against her skin. The case was closed, but the mystery lingered, a shadow in the back of her mind. She knew that she would never truly be free of the bunker, or the porcelain doll, or the darkness that they had unearthed. The experience changed her, and she knew the next day at 3:17 a.m. it would haunt her, and she would never look at clocks in the same way again. She glanced back at the bunker one last time. It wasn't the last time she would be here, but the beginning of an endless, haunting investigation.